Hi Twitch, I'm AM, and
I'm
you
Nikki.
are Nikki.
Coming at you live from sunny San Diego.
Yeah, it doesn't look like San Diego.
No, I mean, like, we really should have the beach behind us, because that would be, like, evidence.
I want a green screen. Like, I wanted a green screen for a while.
Me too. I just want, like, the sand and the ocean right behind me.
I wouldn't put a beach.
What would you put?
I'd put, like, a doomsday bunker.
Oh, God.
Like, Doomsday Prepper. I love that show. I watch it all the time.
I think it would be calming if the beach was behind us.
No,
like,
no
it would
beach.
just be, like, the sound of the ocean, like, I want the sun.
Okay. Well, we are in San Diego. We're live. This is episode 4, I believe. We're on 4 now.
We are on 4.
Wow. Okay.
It's been a journey.
We're veterans now. We're old. We're old now. The show's not new anymore.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've been tuning in each week and enjoyed it.
We're both developer evangelists, developer advocates. We're people who have written software in our lives and now talk to developers in the AWS community.
We're the talkative
at
developers.
large. Yeah, we're the talky ones, right?
Yes.
So what this show is about, this series of episodes specifically, are about
building a modern web app, and we're doing it in .NET, because that's our.
We're both .NET devs.
We're both .NET devs. That's our.
And we do other stuff too.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
I know you like Node.js. I like Node.js. But we're working
Python.
in .NET for this, and what have we done so far?
We've done a lot of things.
Yeah, the past 2 episodes were pretty intense.
We're pretty, like, code heavy.
And you had to do them.
Yeah, okay, well, it's your turn today. So
I know.
I'm off the hook, you guys. This is a free ride for me. I get to
today.
watch him and make fun of him when he messes up. Like,
That's right. That's fair.
Like I did last week.
I will mess up. Just
no, you're gonna be fine.
Prefacing
you're gonna
that.
be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so what have we done? So, if you tuned in, the first week we took an Angular app and we hosted it as a static website on S3, which is our storage service, so object storage, but it has the cool feature where you can host a static website using one of the buckets.
That's right. We briefly mentioned Amplify on that. But
we're going to get more into Amplify today if you're excited.
We'll talk a little bit more about it. We're not doing a whole lot with Amplify today. We will do a lot next week, actually. But we'll do some introductions on how you can easily host a website with Amplify.
Yeah. Next week, the following week after that, we started our backend, which, as we mentioned, was in .NET, specifically .NET Core.
Yeah. And
then we talked about Docker, which is software that we use to containerize applications, and we Dockerized our .NET backend.
We did.
And then we pushed it up to an image repository, which we used ECR because this is an AWS show. Again, there are others. And then we started a service in ECS and a task off of our image, and we put a network load balancer in front of that service to load balance traffic to our service.
Right, all the running containers in our container cluster.
Right, we also created a cluster somewhere in there.
We did, yeah, ECS.
I missed that.
And did you mention that I blacked out while you're talking, just so you know?
The whole time? All the episodes?
Oh, yeah, I've never been like mentally present during
So
any
you
of
actually
these
don't
shows.
remember anything that we did?
No, I don't.
Well, that's good. You don't remember all the mistakes I made.
Okay. No, I remember those. Actually.
Oh, Jesus.
Did you talk about the CI/CD pipeline?
Oh, at the end of the last episode, we created a CI/CD pipeline so that you no longer have to see me type all those commands to get any changes in our .NET code all the way to now our production running service in ECS.
Yeah, what's cool is since we use Docker, we actually utilize Docker in 2 steps, right? We utilize Docker, 1, to create a container image that actually builds our project.
A multi-stage Docker
file. Inside that image, right? Inside the container. And then it takes the assets built in that container image and moves it into its own, very small, compact
And why would you do that?
It just helps with performance in containers.
Right, it helps the final container be smaller.
You want to get rid of any kind of dependencies that you don't need to run your application. We don't need the actual SDK that we use to build, the .NET SDK, to build our project. We don't need that in the final.
We don't need the source.
Right. We could include the .NET runtime, which I believe our container Maybe does.
Yeah,
I can't remember or not. It might be a self-contained application. We talked about that in one of the previous episodes too. What are we talking about today?
Today, okay,
What am I
so
talking
we now have
about?
a front end and
I
a
need
back
to know
end.
because I'm about to talk about it.
Yeah, did you forget?
I didn't forget. I actually don't know what we're talking about today.
Okay, so remember how in the beginning,
Yeah.
when we were starting the .NET application,
Okay.
we had that little one controller, that measly one controller that pulled a JSON file and just spit it out.
Yeah.
Remember that?
That's my favorite part of the service.
No, we're gonna get rid of that.
We're getting rid of it.
You're getting rid of it. You're gonna actually create a data tier today.
Oh, okay.
And then you're gonna hook up the .NET app to the data tier, and then you're gonna actually use the CI/CD pipeline that I built for you last week.
Sure.
And
to add the data
it's
tier.
gonna be a lot easier for you to get that code changed all the way.
We're gonna add that data tier to our existing application, right?
Yeah.
Like instead of pulling the JSON file, we're gonna pull data out.
Yeah, and then you're gonna use the CI/CD pipeline to push up that change to production.
Okay. Sounds
So
like
you
a
could
lot.
basically
I don't know that I
use all the work that I did and just like freeload off of my hard work.
Okay. I'm actually really cool with that.
I know. I knew you would be cool with that.
So how are we doing in chat? We're gonna be monitoring chat.
Chat.
Please hit us up while we're talking. I don't want to only talk to Nikki today. I do enjoy my time with Nikki, but I spend a lot of time with Nikki, so I'd love to hear from anyone else. Anyone, please.
Let me check the chat here.
Only joking. Nikki and I are best friends.
Oh, we are?
No, we're not. No.
No, jeez. We're gonna save that for the end. We'll tell you if we're actually friends or not.
So we're gonna update our data tier. We're gonna update our front end to pull from our back end that now will pull from the data tier. That's a pretty typical 3-tier architecture.
Looks like I'm connecting to the channel.
Oh, okay. You weren't actually in the chat, so
It took a second.
That's great. All right, so let's actually.
Oh, you know what? We do have one comment, and you're gonna really like this comment. The shirts that Nikki and AM wear just get more epic as the weeks go on.
What's your shirt say today?
It says that my code never has bugs. It just develops random unexpected features.
That's all of my code, actually. Is unexpected
Yeah, I know
features.
you need one of these shirts. I need to get you one.
Yeah, mine is a Propaganda shirt. It's my favorite band.
Oh.
It's a punk rock band.
Of course.
They're from Canada.
Have you worn a non-punk rock band shirt any week?
Yeah, I wore David Bowie last week.
Oh, okay.
I
wasn't paying attention. I blacked out.
You did. I wore the Talking Heads one week. That's not really a punk band. They're kind of like new wave, maybe. I don't know.
So your thing is punk rock band t-shirts.
Oh, I love this. Yeah,
cool shirts make your code work better, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Smith Woodward, you are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
These shirts definitely make my demos go smoother, my code run better, all the things.
Yeah. It's superstition, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good luck. I have to wear them for good
luck.
luck.
Let's get into it. You want to get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
We actually don't have a pretty jam-packed episode today, so we can talk through a lot of the concepts here.
We can.
Because we really don't have that much to deploy. There's not a whole lot of changes that we have to make.
This is a very, very simple part of developing the modern web app, just adding in the data tier. So yeah, if you have questions, today's the day where we can answer all of them because we don't have that many commands to write.
No, I have pulled up the module. If you're following along at home, you can get access, and Nikki will drop this in the chat, to the repo that we've been working out of on our GitHub. It's just right there, that link that she just put into the chat. Go in there and make sure to open the .NET branch. So that's the branch that we're working off of.
And you just want to clone that single branch.
Yeah, you can clone the entire project if you want and check out that branch. You can also work in Python. There's Python available. Yep. I believe Go and Java are currently being worked on, and you can see those branches in the repo.
Yep.
Not sure how far along they are right now. But as you can see, I've got the module pulled up in Visual Studio Code, which is what we've been using the entire time. It's another... it's not really an IDE, but it's kind of
a source editor.
Yeah.
With a little.
It's got some nice
extra
things, like I've got an integrated terminal here that I don't have to switch over
built-in Markdown preview.
I do.
I just learned today. Did you guys know that you could do that?
Oh yeah, this is actually previewing Markdown. It's pretty cool. I like
so you
this.
can open one of the README files that's written in Markdown, and you can just click in the right-hand corner. There's like a little preview button, and then now you can see what it would look like.
Yeah. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm actually going to run my commands in PowerShell today. That's going to be one difference from last week. Nicki was using the AWS CLI, and let me just heavily reiterate here, there's not one better than the other.
Nope.
Right?
It's really just a matter of preference.
I mean, but PowerShell, it's pretty cool though.
It is pretty cool. That. I mean, it's cool.
It's grown on you?
It is growing on me a lot.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I've shown you some cool stuff, I think.
You showed me some really cool stuff yesterday.
Yeah, we'll see some of this too. So we have PowerShell tools for AWS, and I have written PowerShell scripts for basically doing the exact same things that the AWS CLI commands have here too. I've actually got a neat trick to show you too, that even if I didn't do this with the PowerShell command, or you could still get the PowerShell commandlet from the CLI commands.
How?
I'll show you. It's pretty cool.
So if you didn't know the PowerShell commandlet to type, he's saying if you knew the AWS CLI command, you could actually retrieve the PowerShell command?
Yeah, like this one, AWS DynamoDB describe table, right? Yeah. What is that? I mean, I see, it's not a surprise. I see this right here in PowerShell. But if I wanted to find, like if I didn't know that, right?
Yeah, what do you do?
So there's this great discovery feature called get AWS commandlet name.
Okay, I know
There's
that
a couple
one.
ways to look up things. You can do it by service.
That's the one I'm familiar with.
I could say DynamoDB if I wanted every single thing, but I mentioned something pretty cool with the AWS CLI, right?
Ah.
I can come in here, give it that, and then actually type in the command, right?
Okay.
And it's gonna
Oh, it's gonna work.
It's gonna error.
Do you put it in quotes?
You do, yeah, you do. Let me try a different one, actually. Let's go back.
Does it just not have that command?
No, it definitely has the command.
I feel like you lied to me. You told me this was a cool trick.
I lied to you.
Cool trick
I did. I just like lying to you, you know? Let me actually pull up something from last week's.
Somebody agrees with us. JQK3R Pulpy says it's the best editor ever. We 100%
Visual Studio.
agree with you.
Yeah, I love it. So let me I'll just cat out the README actually. Let's just pull.
Are you actually going to show me this cool trick, or did you just make it up?
I maybe made it up. I don't know.
Per the usual.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't have made it up. I'm just kidding, obviously. Let's just try it with a different command. You actually don't even have to write the AWS part either. You can just do that.
Oh, really?
Ah, there. That one worked.
Oh, whoa.
See, it translated to PowerShell for me.
That's really cool. But then it doesn't give you the actual parameters for that commandlet.
Oh, no. If you want the parameters, you just do help set.
And then you type the command.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then it'll give you an entire it's taking a minute because it's sometimes.
Pro tip. If you're using PowerShell and you know the AWS CLI, you can actually find the command pretty easily. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting back to what we're actually doing today.
Right.
Let's talk about NoSQL databases or non-relational databases for a second. If you're not familiar with DynamoDB, I know we've dropped the name a few times now, but DynamoDB is the NoSQL database that we are using in this modern web application as our data tier. And if you've never used DynamoDB, oh look, he's bringing it up for me as I'm talking.
No, my last pass is coming up. That's what was happening.
Well, it is a managed non-relational database that AWS offers, and it will scale like automatically. It's a better way of saying it's like a serverless database. It's like a serverless offering kind of.
I wouldn't call it a serverless database necessarily, because you can use it in all types of architectures, but you see it used with serverless a lot because you can quickly ingest. That's kind of the whole benefit.
Microservices would be another use case, or mobile.
Well, really, yeah, mobile's great for Dynamo. Really, anything that you just need to shove some data in really fast and not have to worry about scaling it too much. And
yeah, it's very, very fast.
I mean, I would not say that Dynamo meets the needs of like heavy duty reporting and pulling analytics.
Yeah, if you're going to do
but
a
it's
lot
not
of
intended
queries.
to, because we've got a lot of other services for that. Actually, you can take the data that's going into your DynamoDB table, and there's this thing called Dynamo Streams.
Oh,
yeah.
look at this! I can finish your sentences. I knew where you're going with that.
And so then when you take the data out of the stream, you can push it to other services like Elasticsearch or...
So you could essentially have two databases, one where it's just user activity back and forth because, you know, users want instant gratification. And then your Dynamo table could stream to a relational database.
That's right.
Where then you could run your analytics queries. If you wanted to separate it out like that, it's totally plausible.
What's the big difference between NoSQL and SQL?
So NoSQL definitely scales, but there's just no structure to it. Like it's unstructured data. So there's not necessarily a connection between one table and another, and there's not even necessarily, each row in the table does not have to match the data in the next row.
That's right, yeah. What's also interesting about NoSQL and SQL to me is that there are a lot of different flavors of NoSQL.
Yes, there are.
It's not just, this is a NoSQL database, these all, you know, follow the same rules, do the same things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, there's, you know, column-based NoSQL databases. There's key value stores like Redis. That's one of my favorites because it's very simple, right? Like you just put a key in and the value and you can retrieve it. You know, it's really great for caching. That's another good use case for Dynamo too. There's graph databases too, right?
Yes.
That they qualify as NoSQL. But I think the point that you said, that's really the most important point, is there's not really a defined structure necessarily to all of the data that you're storing.
Whereas in SQL, there would be a defined structure and database schema. You know, if there's a row in the table, it's going to look like the other rows. Even if there's null is still a value, and there will be a null for one of the columns instead of it not existing.
Oh, Ian's got a great point too about ETLing from Dynamo.
Using AWS Glue.
Yeah, Glue is actually a really interesting service.
It is.
It's got a lot of pre-built translations of data too. So like ETL jobs, right? Oh man, what do the letters stand for? I know transform and load. What is the E? Extract, right?
Extract, transform,
okay,
load.
it all came back to me. I used to write ETL jobs
I've written several.
Yeah, e-commerce place that I worked at, and it's not fun.
Before Glue, though, I used to actually use Lambda functions to transform the data to then put it in other places in AWS.
Right.
So Glue is pretty cool because it'll help you use the Dynamo stream to then transform your data to, say, deposit it in a SQL table somewhere.
Right. Cool.
Oh, look, extract.
Yeah, I got to it.
OB, the architect, is helping you out.
Oh, I got to it.
You have a friend.
I have lots of friends. I do.
You don't have that many friends.
I have tons of friends.
He's definitely being a friend.
Unlimited friends.
No, that's false.
All right.
That's a lie that you tell yourself. So besides NoSQL, if you've besides that, what else are we gonna cover today? I think there was three concepts.
Yeah, so we're going to cover adding a data tier. We're going to cover updating our front-end code. We're using Angular, right?
We are using Angular.
We're going to learn a little bit more about some configuration pieces to Angular. We're going to learn about how we already kind of touched on this in the first episode, but we're also going to get some more options when we're deploying our Angular application today. We didn't really get into the Amplify hosting
Not
portion,
a whole lot.
but I'll show the commands that you'll run. We'll still utilize my script for now until we move into Amplify in the project next week.
Module 4.
Module 4, but we'll get to at least walk through the steps, right?
Oh yeah, if you missed that, we're working in Module 3 today.
Yeah, Module 3. Yeah, that's
the last two episodes. Right, Module 2 it's a long one, so we split it up.
And what's the third one? We got to update the backend too.
We got to update the backend.
Yeah, and push it through our CI/CD pipeline.
I think we should say my CI/CD pipeline. That's stretching it.
I'm running it in my account, so how did that appear magically?
Yeah, whatever.
I wonder how that happened. I'm not in your AWS account. You didn't create it.
So you recreated it?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Ah.
I still did the work.
You did. You did. Nobody's denying you.
Okay, so
we're gonna create our table first, right?
Yeah, I think we should create the table. Should we just get into it?
Yeah, let's do it. It's really simple because I wrote a script for it. So actually, we could take a quick peek, just a little peek into what I did. A lot of this is boilerplate. What I noticed with a lot of the CLI commands that kind of was a challenge for me was going and finding some of the data points, right, throughout. So what I tried to accomplish with all of my PowerShell scripts is you don't have to go search for any of the values. It'll try and intelligently pull it off of the other commands.
So you're not constantly replacing values, you're just running a script?
That's right.
Nice.
Here with the Dynamo table, though, these are
nice of you.
Sometimes nice. I don't want that reputation getting out.
It was nice.
I'm not nice.
You were nice to all of our viewers for doing that because now they don't have to go and replace all those values.
Okay, I guess I'm nice.
Yeah, you're nice.
This hurts.
And by the way, OB the architect says, "Got your back, Jack."
Okay, I need as many people to get my back as possible.
No, you don't. You're fine.
All right. So this is actually not pulling data from anywhere. This is just hard-coded data. This is actually how we're going to set up our schema. So in Dynamo, we have to declare out what's called a hash key, sometimes referred to as a partition key. I like to refer to it as the primary key.
The primary key.
Yes,
so,
and that's generally accepted term at this point. So actually, if you'd like to learn more about primary keys and sort keys.
He published a blog today.
Maybe I put a blog out today.
I tweeted about it in case you didn't see it, and also if you go to AWS and go to the blog and pick the category database.
Yeah, the database blog.
It just happened to go live today that we're streaming. Like, what are the chances of that? Did you plan that?
No.
Yeah, no lies.
So what's interesting when you pick one of these primary keys, right? And what's additionally interesting, and you can learn more in my blog post, is that you can
now I have to read it.
You can combine these partition keys and sort keys to be your primary key in your database.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so what it gives you is a little bit more flexibility with how you retrieve data out of Dynamo, right? So let's just say all you pick is this partition key, right? It has to be unique across the table, the Dynamo table that you create, and that's the only way that you can retrieve it. There's retrieve by key, and there's also retrieve by scanning the entire table, which scanning the entire table just pulls back all of the data, right? All at once.
Yeah, but you can give it like a filter.
No, a scan, it doesn't matter. It's always going to scan the entire table.
Whole table, okay.
Yeah, so you have to use that pretty judiciously. If you have a smaller table, running scans against it, no big deal. If your table starts to grow, you can start to...
It'll take a longer time.
Yeah, it could affect performance. It could even affect price, depending on how you set up your auto-scaling in Dynamo too. There we go. Check out Aiden's blog post.
Look. Thanks, Emma.
Shucks. Well, I'm blushing.
She's nicer than me. I wasn't going to go get it for that.
No, I knew you wouldn't.
No.
So we're actually only using a partition key here in our schema. And do you know why?
Oh, well, we don't have a lot of data.
We don't have a lot of misfits to put in there, right?
No, there's not that many.
Yeah, so it's okay. We can run scans against this table. It's not going to affect performance heavily. It's not going to increase price. And we're really pulling either all of the misfits and then filtering in our own code.
Yeah.
Or we're pulling them by ID, right? They each have a unique GUID, globally unique ID, right?
Some people say GUID. Yeah, that's like potato. Like
people say AMI too, or AMI. That's.
There's a long debate about that.
I like AMI.
You like AMI?
Yeah, it's got my name in it.
Of course, that's the one you like.
AM.
That makes sense why you like that one.
Yeah. So we defined out, and actually we're adding. This is another unique feature of Dynamo 2. You can add what's called secondary indexes on your Dynamo table. And what these do, they act just like, you can define out a different key to work against the same data in your table, essentially, is what that does.
That's pretty cool. We don't have a secondary index, though. Do we?
Yeah, we've got 2 indexes actually. We've got this law chaos index and this good evil index because we are doing filtering. Remember, one of the drop downs, and maybe, I don't know if, what's that webpage? Do you remember? Misfits?
Misfits.com.
Mythical Misfits?
Mythicalmisfits.com.
Misfits. Let's take a look, just so we know what we're building towards, right?
So you are filtering.
Remember, we filter against these options. So
I didn't do a lot of front end. I did most of the .NET stuff.
We're gonna have to shape the data so that we can pull it back this way, right? So each, and if you look, right, each misfit here has a good or evil or lawful, chaotic, like D&D type alignments, right?
Yeah.
Do you know anything about D&D?
No.
Okay, all right. I'll have to teach you sometime.
Like tomorrow?
No, I'm busy tomorrow. But I can then sort by neutral, right? For example, or I can sort by lawful.
Okay, so you put a secondary index on there.
Correct. So we're using those indexes in our Dynamo table so that we can pull back data according to these filters. We'll see more about that in here, right? Then we're just naming the table Misfits Data. That's all we're doing.
You're setting read-write capacity.
Yeah. And we have a new DDB table.
Okay.
Oh man, I got a nerd alert! Nerd alert!
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, D&D.
Okay, so now that he says that full out, I actually have heard of that. And you seriously are a nerd if you play that game. Like, for real.
Wow! That is some public shaming.
Public shaming right now. I have seen people play that game.
Hey, true confession, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, you just
but
know
I've always wanted to.
Oh, this is secret.
Nobody will play. I have one friend back in Dallas, one of my best friends actually, Richie.
Who will play with you?
No, he's a DM, but I've never. We actually started playing a game with our wives, but we didn't finish the game.
Why? Did you get distracted?
No, I think they thought it was lame. Yeah,
okay.
True confession time. I'm telling you.
Nerd is a good thing. I agree with you. That's just a different level of nerd.
There's a lot of judgment coming from this side of the room.
Nope, no judgment.
A lot of judgment.
Continue with PowerShell.
I love that you're calling me a nerd and then you
I do love Game of Thrones.
Continue with PowerShell.
Digital Hex. Yes, I do love Game of Thrones.
Alright, so honestly, just to create this table, and this is going to fail, just so you know.
Why is it going to fail?
Because I already have the table. I already created it. It's like a cooking show. So it'll fail, but it's okay because this table already exists, right? So if I go look, we can actually go, like I said, cooking show. I've already got the table here.
Tisk tisk.
I know, you like to fly by the edge of the seat.
I flew by the edge of my seat the last 2 weeks and just did everything.
You did?
You just preset it up.
I did.
I'm definitely judging right now. Now the judging is happening.
It's more judging than when I admitted that I like D&D.
So you did all the preparation before, but you just, you're just like, I'm not going to live code. That's too scary. I'm just going to preset it up. So
I don't think running CLI commands is live coding.
Whatever. I mean, how many times did it not work in the last 2 episodes? That's live. That's happening live.
Serious anger coming from here. This is not even...
I got 2 points for bravery from Digital Hex. Thank you. See?
How you gonna
0.
How you gonna score those points though? You don't know anything about D&D, so you can't add those to your character sheet or anything. Just
Digital Hex. AM has -2 points for bravery.
I'm not a Gryffindor, guys.
You have less than
I'm a
0.
Ravenclaw. I got no brave.
I'm definitely a Gryffindor. 100%.
Ravenclaw here. No bravery. We like our books.
I'm not taking you with me on my scary adventures.
So we just created our table.
Yeah.
It's like
created.
But this is how you would do it. You would just run my script.
So lame.
That's all you'd have to do. And the next command you'd want to do, you could actually run this. We already looked at it in the console itself.
This is just to see that you actually.
But this is just to see that, hey, look, we've got global secondary indexes on that law chaos index and good evil.
September 10th.
This is old.
That was
This is from when I wrote the actual. I never deleted all my.
I love that you just showed me that.
Well,
Evidence.
See, look, there is a lot to be said for the TV magic oven. You just pull things
Don't
out.
give him points, Chuck. Don't do it. He doesn't deserve them. Okay, so now what?
So now we
created the table, you checked that it was there.
Yeah.
What's next?
So now, if we were doing this and I hadn't created all the assets beforehand, we could run this next command and we would get a 0 count because we wouldn't have any items. I could actually go in, if you'd like, if it would make you feel better, and delete all these. Would you like me to do that?
Oh wait, are you gonna like do something live right now and be brave? Are you ready? Should you take a deep breath?
I deleted them all.
What?
I did it.
Oh no! What are you gonna do if it doesn't work?
I'm gonna blame you.
Oh god, dang it. If I had known you were gonna blame me, I wouldn't have let you delete them.
Oh, that's too bad. So,
okay, well now you better put them back.
I will, with the script.
With the script that's pre-written for you.
Well, I wrote the script.
But whatever.
Digital Hex wants me to roll the die, so.
We rolled. He rolled, actually.
I did.
I feel like I should not get the point.
I'm hoping for a nat 20. This is all D&D references this episode.
Nope, didn't get
all
it.
All of them.
Over my head.
You're not going to get any of them.
Nope.
It's going to be fun.
That's great.
Fun for me.
Alright, so I think you should put the items back.
Well, actually, we're going to scan the database first. Remember I mentioned you can scan the database, and it will return every item in your database.
So in this case, it's going to return nothing.
It will return nothing, because I just deleted everything.
Alright, let's see it.
But I also wanted to call out a really interesting feature of the PowerShell tools, and PowerShell in general, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool, actually. So, shh, don't tell anybody.
That looks like the .NET SDK.
Hold on, shh, don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody. So, there's some missing features in Dynamo from the PowerShell tools. Shh, don't say
Missing
anything.
features.
Yeah, so like I can't run a scan with a commandlet. There's no scan commandlet currently.
You just wrote...
But in PowerShell, I can pull in the actual .NET SDK.
Okay.
And I can utilize the .NET SDK.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that looks like the .NET SDK.
It is the .NET SDK. So
okay, I'm not crazy.
that's all I have to do is run this scan async
That's
method.
the exact same way that you would write it in .NET. In fact, I believe it's...
There you go. So count 0, because you made me delete all of my beautiful,
yeah, nice and scary
beautiful
now.
items.
Scary time for you. I don't know what you're going to do.
I'm getting them back now.
What if it doesn't work?
We'll see. So we need to load the items, right? We have been, and I'll actually go, I was thinking about it, but I'll go look at the script too. We were pulling all of our misfit data from...
I think we did get a question about batch.
Did we?
Yeah, the tall pan says, why is DynamoDB batch write limited to 25 items at a time?
I don't know.
Me either.
That's an implementation detail. I'm not
Sorry,
sure.
the tall pans. Maybe we'll go back to the team and
Ask around,
them.
ask around. I don't know.
We'll try to get an answer for you by next week.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can pull up. But
it's a good question though.
So with batch write, we're gonna take that JSON file that we were using to load in our misfits data.
And now we're gonna load it into Dynamo.
And we're gonna load that data into Dynamo, right?
Cool.
We actually have a special JSON file. Because Dynamo, you actually have to declare out the items that you're storing. You have to declare out what type
Did you
they
make
are.
this?
I didn't make this file. This came from the other, I believe Andrew. Andrew, who wrote the initial Python tutorial, put this, and I copied the file.
Got it.
But if you notice, like right here, right, you see S, right? That's declaring that the GUID or GUID
whatever
is a string, right? And there's other types. You can have a number, you can have a bool, right? So we're just declaring out the types of data that we're storing in Dynamo. It's just
How
one
do
of
you
the
guys
things.
say it? Do you say GUID or do you say GUID? I feel like I've heard both, like, and people are very, like, particular. So if you're, like, in a group of devs and they all say GUID, if you say GUID, you're just the odd man out.
How about
like, nobody talks to you.
GIF or GIF?
You know, that one I don't feel like there's such a harsh debate with devs about, like, how you say that one word.
There are definitely some
There are.
code
Actually, OsTuneZ, I just added those PowerShell samples to the AWS.NET Developer Hub, which if you go to aws.amazon.com/net, you can see all those samples just by clicking code samples and then selecting PowerShell.
Oh, GIF. Somebody better.
Somebody said GIF. Okay, Digital Hex said it's GUID, and OB, the architect, said it's GUID. You guys. Just the debate continues.
It does. It'll never end. So let's just take a quick look at this too.
Okay.
Again, remember I set the misfits table name to misfits table, so I put that
creative.
already in there for you.
Got it.
Again, this is actually going to look a lot like some C# code.
It does.
Because I'm utilizing the .NET SDK again, right?
Okay.
So I just create my client. I get what's called a batch item request. This is like internals of the SDK,
is the
right? So then here I did write all this. So we're gonna go ahead.
But like a while ago.
Wow.
Just messing with you.
Wow.
It's really fun. Oh, and there we go. Owen Wilson is
That's
here.
my defense mechanism.
Owen Wilson has arrived.
So heavily. Owen comes out.
Why him?
I'm pulling. Oh, it's my spirit animal. I'm pulling the items from that populate DynamoDB JSON file over here, right?
Got it. Yep, we just saw it.
And then I'm just going to construct some batch requests and push them through. And I'm going to run them through a loop until I'm finished, right? That's basically all there is to it. Let's run it and let's see what happens.
Wow, this is like the Matrix. That was like the Matrix for a second. I liked it. Let's see it again. I want to do it again.
I don't think I can run it again.
Please?
Let's see if we got my my beautiful items back in. I was scared.
Jeez.
I was scared it wouldn't work.
Real bravery, you guys. That's true bravery right there.
I jumped off the edge of the cliff in my wingsuit.
We'll give you half a point for that one.
I just flew.
Half a point.
That's
What do you think? Half a point? He gets half a point?
It's pretty big for a Ravenclaw to try that out.
He rolled a 20, no PowerShell bleeding.
That's right. Nat 20! Right there.
Okay, let's see. We got more opinions. I don't know how to say that one. Danielson. Guid. Guid?
UID.
That's a new one. That's a new one. That's definitely a new one. I haven't heard that one before.
Alright. I also like this OSI extension, the OSI model, People, Politics, and Pronunciation of Acronyms. That's pretty good.
That is really good.
Alright, so we've created our table. We're done. We're done with the table.
Okay, so now we gotta update the backend to actually use the table.
Yeah, you already did this, actually.
I did write this code.
So, should we take a look at it?
I think we should. We should talk about it.
So we've got our API layer, right?
So this controller now actually has more going on than it did the first time we looked at it. Thank God.
It's not just pulling in a JSON file,
It's not just pulling in a JSON file and spitting it out.
That's right.
So now it is using, so I created a service, and so we basically have a filter coming in from the front end.
Right?
Yeah, that's my service.
Pull up that service.
And so if the filter comes in empty, we just get all the misfits. And if the filter comes back with strings for a value, then we use the misfits with filter in the service. So there's two calls in the misfit service.
Here we go.
One that just gets all of them, and then one that filters them.
Right now, our only endpoint is for get, right? And this just returns all of the...
Right.
And then later on, we'll add one to filter against those two filter types. We'll add an API endpoint to get just one...
Oh, a single misfit?
A single misfit at a time. And we'll get...
we'll add an API endpoint for liking and adopting them.
Yeah, liking
because you have to be able to like and adopt your misfits. Right. It's important.
So why did you write a service?
To keep it organized and for separation of concern. Felt like that was important, especially because this initial get call, there's two calls that could be made here. You could either call to get all the misfits back, or you could get them with a filter.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make it one command, one endpoint, but be able to hit either one. And so then I put the actual calls in the service.
Okay. Why is line 30 blank? We're triggering somebody's PTSD of...
Oh my God. Sorry, I don't have those like neurotic spacing things, so feel free to call out my formatting if it's really pissing you off.
I do.
We'll fix it.
I have them.
Great. Excellent.
I'm just suppressed by rage.
This whole time?
Yeah, the whole time.
We've been coding together for like months.
I know, it's fine. It's fine. It's internalized inside me, some sort of illness, I'm sure.
I used to work with a dev that
just
had
kidding. I don't
the
have
same sort of illness, and I used to fix it all.
Mine's not too bad, but yeah.
Like, do you need a space after line 27?
Well,
Is
or
that
like
driving
line
you nuts?
38. Like that's.
What? I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I know. It's no big deal. Oh god, digital hex.
Tabs.
No.
Digital hex.
No,
Tabs.
sir. We are not
Tabs,
doing
tabs,
tabs or
tabs,
spaces on
It's
this
tabs.
show.
It's tabs.
We are not doing
It's
tabs or
definitely
spaces
tabs.
on this show.
Okay,
I
still declared tabs. Let's go to the service.
But why did you write a service? And why did you put in so many new lines?
What are you talking about?
There's another new line here.
Maybe
okay.
it just
okay.
loads differently on your machine.
That's probably it, yeah.
It's totally plausible.
So you told me something called separation of concerns.
I did.
Is why wouldn't you just take all the DynamoDB code and drop it into your controller?
Well, if I put it in a service, then if I were to down the road have another controller that used that DynamoDB code or table or needed to call those calls, then I could use that same service. So it gives me reusability as well. I can reuse the same code that I wrote. I don't have to rewrite it in every single controller, which would be a waste of my time.
Digital hex, I wasn't really mad at you. It's okay.
Sorry to bring it up.
It's okay. I'm not mad.
Well, I'm on your side. Digital hex is my friend now, and I'm with tabs.
Okay.
Tabs all the way.
I'm with let my editor do it. I don't care. Like whatever I'm writing in.
Yeah, but you seem to care about my blank spaces.
Well, the new lines are a bit excessive.
A bit excessive. So we are using dependency injection here.
We are, yeah. What is dependency injection?
So it's a design pattern that's used to basically, if you set it up in your starter file, it will create the objects and insert them and pass them to any class that you'd like to receive them in. And
it's like essentially the first step to becoming an enterprise developer, right? Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god.
Only joking. But yes.
So it's actually injecting this class into this class Amazon DynamoDB into this misfit service class.
Let me ask you a real question. Let's say I've only programmed in languages like Python, Node.js, or Ruby. Would I ever need dependency injection for those languages? I'm setting you up for you to answer no.
No, I was gonna say no.
Yeah.
But I haven't really used Ruby or Python, so like the only one I know.
Or Node.js. Why wouldn't you use dependency injection in Node.js?
Well, I know you wouldn't, but I don't know why you wouldn't.
Because it's not a strongly typed language.
Oh,
Java and
right.
C#, you have to declare the types out ahead of time, right?
Yes.
And so
and you have to instantiate them. To use them.
TypeScript adds this type of functionality to Node.js, for example, but those languages.
Yeah, did you say Angular has dependency injection too?
It does, because it's written in TypeScript, actually.
Ah, that's why.
But languages like Python, Ruby, and JavaScript in general, they don't have the sense of interfaces, right? And an interface is part of dependency injection. It's used as part of dependency injection, containers or frameworks, whatever you want to refer to, because it's like a contract. That one of your types that you've declared in these object-oriented and strongly typed languages
is going
to implement, right?
Yes.
So you can declare out the methods that we've got this Amazon
that
DB.
one comes from the SDK.
Yeah, this Amazon DynamoDB
and
interface.
by the way, just to pull this up, since he's not, where I'm actually saying that this will be injected is right here in the starter file.
Right, and this is a new feature of .NET Core, actually,
Yes.
to include dependency injection in the actual framework.
Yes.
You used to have to go find like an IOC container library, like Ninject. That was one of my favorites, or Autofact. Ninject. They always have.
Which one I used to use? There was another.
Autofact is pretty popular one. You might have used that one. Anyway.
So you might have seen dependency injection when calling like a database service, or like in a lot of code it gets used. So we are using it here.
Right. And so then what that does is, let's say we have a lot of controllers, right? Like you mentioned, and I'm pulling in my Misfit service. We didn't actually create an interface for our Misfit service because we know in this project, we're not going to change it out, right? So we're still using the DI container to inject that object.
Yeah, and in the controller, we are also injecting, using dependency injection, the misfits service.
That's right.
So if you created more controllers beyond this one controller, you could then inject the misfits service into any of them and use the calls.
That's right. And so if you wanted to have your team write multiple concrete classes based off of an interface, you would write something like misfits service, declare out the methods, right? So if we look at our service,
that would have to be in them.
If we look at our service, probably our interface would have get misfits filter, and that's it. That would be your interface.
It might have put a misfit.
Right. And you wouldn't have any of the lines like 21 to 23. They wouldn't be in the interface. They're only in the concrete actual class that you use to implement that interface, right? And so then when you go to your DI container, your dependency injection container, you could come in and register. We are registering it just there, right?
Yep.
But we could have had you could
put an interface in front of it.
Misfits, it's gonna look like an error because we don't have this interface.
Comma.
And then we could change this and say like Nicki's misfits service, right? Instead. And then you could have yours. And then I could write mine. And then we would never have to see each other's code ever again.
Because that's your goal in life, isn't it?
And I wouldn't have to see...
Does my code really disturb you?
I wouldn't have to see all the...
Just the new lines just so disturbing that you just can't even handle it?
I actually didn't notice it until... who called it out?
Somebody called it out.
Tricodon.
Why is line 33?
I didn't notice them. I noticed a few and I took out a few. Just between you and me, Twitch audience, there were more.
Sure.
I can remove some.
It doesn't bother me. I don't even notice it.
Yeah, there we go. AM Misfits Service and Nicki Misfits. It's the huge divide in our friendship, finally.
Welcome, Shazo. Welcome to our stream. So right now, just to catch you guys up, if you're just tuning in, so we have been streaming live for 4 weeks now, and we are building a modern web application in .NET. Today's episode, so in previous episodes, we built a static website front end in Angular, and then we built a .NET web API that we containerized and orchestrated using an AWS service called Fargate. And this episode, we are adding a data tier to our project, and then we're going to use our CI/CD pipeline that we created previously to push up our code change. So what he's showed today is he's created his table. Mm-hmm. He dangerously, well, he didn't really create the table. Let's just start there.
Wow.
It was already there.
Wow.
He created it before, like a cooking show. And then he deleted all of his table from it just to show us that he could batch put all of the data in there with his PowerShell script that he showed. And then now we're showing the updated .NET code that we use the .NET SDK to actually call this Dynamo table using a service. And we got off on a tangent on dependency injection.
That's important.
Why we're using dependency injection for this service and why I created a service and I did not just put the DynamoDB SDK call in the controller itself. What are you doing right now?
Yeah, what I'm doing now is I'm copying over the files from our project into my... Remember last episode, we created a code commit repository.
Yes.
Right? So now I need to push my changes.
Yes.
Right? So I just copied, and if I do a get status now, I should have some modified files here. Right?
Cool. So yeah, if you saw those two calls that we just went over, they're just using the .NET SDK to call Dynamo. One just gets all the misfits,
yep,
and one gets the misfits with a filter.
Yeah, we can.
So the first one is super simple.
It's a scan.
It's a scan.
And we already saw that in
We don't have any conditions, so we have to send in that list of conditions, but we don't actually have any, so we didn't add any. It's just a blank list.
And you actually included which attributes you wanted to pull.
Right. When you do the scan operation using the scan filter,
mm-hmm,
you have to include the attributes to get. So in the event that you didn't want all of them back, let's say, you wouldn't have to get all of them. You could just say, I want the misfit ID and the name of the ones that fit this.
Yeah, that's in the attributes. The actual filter, though, too, is something you can filter with data, right?
The scan filter object, yeah. So that filter request is coming in from the controller.
Correct. If we go back to here, right, you've got this fits with filter.
In Angular, he's sending me this object that has the filter name and then the value, and then I'm giving it to the service.
So while we continue talking, I'm just gonna go ahead and, you know, add all my files here.
Digital Hex says you should just throw some randy empty lines in there.
Okay.
Just, you know, because why not?
Let's see. Everything up to date. That's not true. I have to say git push origin master, I bet. No.
What'd you do?
I don't know. I don't know.
Git
Everything's
status.
already up to date.
Didn't you just copy over all the files?
Yeah.
You didn't add them.
I just did.
Git add plus.
Maybe dash
It's-
all.
It's either git add dash capital. Okay,
sorry.
that one worked. There's a few ways to add all the files. You could do git add period. You could do git
I
add
just forgot
dash
a
capital
dash.
A.
And then I can't find my.
Wait, no, not dash AM. It's dash M. Did
Well.
you just type your own name?
Yeah, I did. That's what I always do.
Oh man. Okay, well it's dash M, right?
It doesn't have to be.
Really?
No.
You can type AM and it'll.
AM actually adds too. I've just gotten into the habit of
Event not found.
I know. I keep trying to add an exclamation because I'm really excited, but I don't think it wants me to do it. All right, now we'll get push. And remember our CI/CD pipeline.
So what he did is he just pushed all of these changes to the repository that we created last time. That's the base of our CI/CD pipeline. So now, because he pushed those changes, it should have kicked off the pipeline to be able to update the code in our service in ECS.
Let's see if this actually will trigger.
So what it's doing behind the scenes, it would be updating the code. It would be rerunning the Docker file to create the image, pushing the image back into the place that it needs to go. And then remember we set the ECR repository policy last time so that our code build project could communicate with ECR.
There we go.
It's in progress.
All right, so we'll come back. We've got more stuff to do. We got more stuff to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I could use VS Code to commit.
Oh yeah, you could just use.
Could, but this is actually pointing to different.
Well, now you refresh.
Well, no, I'm.
Oh, it was in
I have a
repository,
separate.
that's
See,
right.
look.
Yeah,
look,
your
I've got.
repository.
If I pwd, this is my Twitch
Got it, I
directory,
got you.
and if I pwd here,
You're in module 3 of the.
this is my actual GitHub. So
I got
this,
you. I'm following.
I'm very organized.
Debatable. Very debatable. Okay, so now that we've updated the backend code to now pull from Dynamo and we've pushed it to our CD pipeline, there's only one thing left to update.
The front end.
The front end.
The front end.
The thing that you did.
I did a lot more than just the front end. I wrote a ton of PowerShell scripts.
You did write a ton of PowerShell. That's a valid point. We'll give you some points for that.
You don't dole out the points. The audience doles out the points.
I'm doling out the points.
They gave you 2 plus bravery. I got
-2.
bravery.
Yeah, and I gave you half a point back.
You can't dole that out.
I can't dole the
Only
points out.
Digital Hex could give
False.
us those points.
Oh, he's the only one that can.
No,
dole out
anybody in
points.
the audience can give out points. I
don't
think
know.
maybe.
I should be able to dole out points.
I know probably my mom and my sister may be watching. Maybe my grandmother. Maybe they'll just dole me out some points. I don't know.
Well, my dad's probably watching, so then maybe he can give me some extra points. +3.
Yeah, we're now just begging our families to give us points.
It's like you just want a gold star on your head or something.
That's called my life, my entire life. That's all I wanted.
Me too.
So let's. We've got about 10 minutes left or so to update
We gotta
our
get
front
this
end.
front end.
What's cool is a lot of the code's already written because I wrote it, and guess what? It matches a lot to your code.
So cocky. Okay, continue.
It matches a lot to your code, actually.
How?
Well, because this is Angular, right? And Angular uses TypeScript, and Angular has very defined ways of doing things. So just like you wrote a service.
You wrote a service. Are you also using dependency injection?
I am.
Whoa.
I know, it's crazy.
You just copied me.
I did. And you just copied, decades of computer
Whatever.
scientists that have come up with dependency injection and everything, too.
Decades of computer scientists. I think it was like a few people.
It's like 30 years or so, 40 years of computer scientists.
Okay, we can debate that in 10
Right.
minutes from now.
Fine. So look, it's doing the exact same thing. Here's a retrieve method. Here's a filter method. That's it, right?
This is your service? Yeah, this is
This is my service. And I actually even have a model, right? So Angular lets you use things like models too.
You really
because
did
TypeScript.
copy me.
So like the response I expect back will have the misfits profile data in it.
Which is that one.
And then in my profile grid, I just show it, right? And back in the profile grid, this is like my controller, right? Just like we saw in the ASP.NET Web API.
So you're going to call the service from here then?
That's right. And I do it right here, actually. So using the same dependency injection idea, which I can show the container in Angular as well.
That's really cool.
I pull it in.
Injected the service in.
Yeah.
And then now you can just use it.
Oh man, I gotta stop for that. Is this a Mac with PowerShell?
PowerShell Core.
PowerShell Core. PowerShell 6 actually runs on all Unix systems.
If you install PowerShell Core
Linux
and you
Mac.
open your bash, all you have to do is type pwsh and it will now start a PowerShell session.
It's super cool.
It's really cool.
Oh, Chuck gave me points, by the way, just saying. All right, cool. Anyway, so I just want to call that out really fast. So we've got our service. We're going to retrieve the profiles.
You got 10 points for using PowerShell as opposed to bash. Wow. You're actually winning now.
I've got a lot of points.
Jeez.
And what will I do with my new windfall of points?
I still think I should get more points for typing all of those commands live.
It's fine. It's fine.
From memory.
So we're pulling in. Subscribe is in GRX. It's reactive JavaScript. It's also something that comes pre-baked into Angular. Not enough time to go into it, but if that's a topic that you guys want to talk about next week, it'd be cool, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me, you all want to talk about. So what we're doing is we get this response, we're setting this to the misfits, and then in my actual view,
you're just looping through.
I just go ahead and loop through the misfits and show their profile. That's it. See,
and
misfit.
G4.
Yep, that's all I do. But one of the key pieces that I have to update that we didn't update last time
is the
environments file.
Yeah.
This is where I pull in all of my configuration data, right? And so when I'm running this locally, I can start up my local server, running your backend,
right.
Hit it on localhost. But when I actually want to run this in prod, I need to put in my NLB.
Yes, the NLB endpoint.
We're going to do that with PowerShell. We're going to find our NLB endpoint, remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember what the PowerShell commandlet is?
Yeah, get AWS commandlet name.
No, I meant for ELB.
No.
You should know it. You should have it
But
memorized.
I do know that it's the AWS command is AWS.
Well, watch.
ELB,
We'll find it. There it is. Look. We can say get ELB load balancer, right?
I know what it's called. It's called misfits-NLB.
I'm very proud of you. Yes, it is. Right there. That's it. We need the DNS name, right?
Yeah, we do.
Cool. All right. So let's go back to our environments file. I just want to make sure we have to put /API on here.
Okay.
I'm going to say HTTP /API. And I need to deploy.
Yeah, you got to send it back up.
That's right. Just to stay with the
theme of PowerShell.
The theme.
Since you got 10 points for it.
I know.
It's a lot of points.
It is a lot
I think
of points.
you should have done that down to like 5.
I've got a deploy front end script here, and we can.
We looked at it the first episode. If you watched, I think in the initial episode we made a bucket, and then we made the bucket into a static website bucket, and then we added a policy to it.
Well,
and
this is
copied over the
deploying.
files.
We'll go check our code build service. Still in progress. It's updating our ECS
Nice.
cluster. So we may not have time to actually see this working, but we will see it get deployed. It's building the Angular for production.
Right. That was going to be the first step. You got to build it for production. If the bucket wasn't created, it would create it, I assume, and then add the policy.
And while this is going too, I want to talk about Amplify.
All right, you have exactly 2 minutes to talk about Amplify.
I can do it in 2 minutes. Amplify is super cool, right? There's basically 2 parts to Amplify.
That is super
ASCII,
cool.
Right? Super cool.
Jeez.
There's basically 2 parts. There's a little bit more, but there's Adobe. Thank you. There's basically 2 parts. Almost made it through the full episode of that coming up. Basically 2 parts to the Amplify offering from AWS.
Yeah.
There's a library, and there's a CLI tool. They're utilized to add front-end functionality or mobile functionality with backend services automatically. So it
Is it
pairs
using
them all.
CloudFormation?
It uses CloudFormation, it uses things like Cognito, it uses API Gateway, it uses Dynamo, it uses all of these things. All that we're going to talk about today is hosting. So you can actually run through amplify, add, and we'll say help to see what we can do with that. And we can add categories like hosting, right? So we can add hosting here directly to the project. This isn't actually an Angular project.
Wait, we have a question.
Oh, cool.
Are these AWS CLI commandlets new for PowerShell? No, they're not new. J0K3R Pulpy. If you wanted to find where to install them, I believe I posted the link, but I'll post it again. So you're just going to go to aws.amazon.com/net. And then if you click on tools, there will be tools in there for both PowerShell for Windows and then obviously PowerShell Core, which it doesn't matter what machine you're running on. You can install either one, whatever your preference is.
So I just ran amplify init. It's adding amplify to this
Bye,
project.
Digital Hex. Thanks for joining us. He said have to get on a call. Thanks for the stream.
Fair enough. Fair enough. This is actually initializing my project. I think we are going to run a little too much at a time to go through amplify in detail. But guess what? Next week
We're going through it.
we're doing it all.
We're doing it all.
So we'll go check on before we sign off. Look, there we go. We've got our static site all updated from my front-end script.
Is the backend done?
The backend is not done quite yet, but we'll see what happens. Probably we won't load the data because our backend is in progress right now. But this is what we've got now. This is where we are. So once...
It's going to work once it's done.
Yes. Oh, maybe we got lucky.
It just finished.
Yeah, maybe it just...
It worked.
There we go. It still says in progress, but...
Well, refresh.
It might be done. No, maybe we just got lucky. I'm not gonna take.
Me either.
I'm not gonna take.
Look, it's my favorite. That's version.
There we go.
He's there.
So, what are we gonna talk about next week? Why should they join us next week?
So, if you're tuning in next week, we are going to add user authentication to so be able to sign in, log in.
Why do we want to do that?
Because in order to do some of the things that we'd like people to do on this site, they have to be able to log in.
We're going to allow them to adopt pets,
Adopt.
Right? One of these
misfits. We need to add those endpoints too and make sure that they're secure and that only somebody that's logged in is able to do them.
Right.
And then we need to add API Gateway.
There you go.
To actually add authorization to the calls. Right now, if you remember, our NLB
we're hitting the NLB
just
directly.
Open to the internet, so anybody can hit it. And so we're going to add API Gateway in front of it, so that now some of those endpoints are authorized only.
Yeah, we'll do SSL termination through API Gateway. Because right now we're serving through HTTP.
Yep.
In our backend. We'll add authentication. It's very different. Authentication so that you can like and adopt these misfits, and we'll all do it with a API Gateway in front of our NLB, right?
Yep, and we're going to use Amplify to help us create the user...
The auth service. So we're also going to use Cognito to make an auth service.
Amplify will use Cognito, right?
It does, yeah. That's the beauty of Amplify, which didn't get to, but we'll get to it in depth next week. So... yeah, this has been...
Any last minute questions? Thanks, Nikki. Great episode. Enjoyed it very much. Jenny Q7 says if Nikki's code has bugs, they get bashed instantly. I like that.
That's true.
That's great.
So great. We got our data.
They want to know if we're having a grand finale at reInvent.
Ooh,
That's a really good question. You know what? OB the architect, we're gonna think about it for you.
And there may be a season 2. We should have like a Marvel style after credits scene for the last episode.
Season 2. I have a lot of thoughts about season 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna share them with you.
All right.
After this.
All
right. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Yep. It was great putting together our data tier.
We actually won't see you next week. So that episode that we just talked about is actually in 2 weeks. Next week, he's in Dallas and I'm in Detroit. So we're unable to do the stream together because we're in different places. But
they ripped us apart.
It's not even our fault either.
No.
2 weeks from
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So not next Wednesday like it normally is, but 2 Wednesdays from now we'll be back online to add user authentication.
And that sets us up to have an epic Halloween episode.
It does.
And that will also be the last.
We will be streaming live on Halloween.
Yeah.
I think we should dress up.
Yeah. So see us on the 24th. Happy birthday, Mom. And that's my mom's birthday. And
October 31st.
October 31st.
Halloween.
Those are the 2 upcoming episodes.
We'll see you guys.
Costumes.
Yeah, see, we gotta dress up.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Epic cliffhanger. That's how you know you did it right.